Hello and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. It's Boxing Day, it's match day. It's obviously Christmas time, so the shows on Blue Tinted Glasses are here, there, and everywhere. But I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Welcome back. And yeah, Manny, mate. As you can see, anyone watching, you can see I'm joined by Manny. How's it going, mate? How was your Christmas? What's going on?
Yeah, good. Absolutely lovely food this year. That's the main thing, isn't it? It's like you're always looking forward to your food. Yeah, all good. Kind of happy it's all over in a way. A bit of stress all with Christmas with kids, but all good, mate.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Zaid's here already. Hello to Zaid. Anybody else? Let us know you're here in the comment section. You'll already know what this show is. Predict the team. So we need your help in the chat. Please do. If you are new around here, this is how it works. We're going to build a team that we want to see with help from the chat. And the chat do usually overpower us. So we'll see how that goes. At the end, we will put together a team that we think we're going to see. Just a quick shout out, by the way, Manny, and to the viewers. We're not sponsored by, I don't know who owns Fanta. Is it PepsiCo? Is it just Fanta? I don't know who owns it. But I've discovered a drink, and it is the greatest thing I've ever discovered. So I'm telling everybody, because you're missing out. Look at this, right? If nobody's had this before, it is so good. I can't describe how nice it is. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there because I'm that amazed at how nice it is. But anyway, yeah, go check it out. I don't know what it's called. It's just called Fanta something. Anyway, right, on to the football, Manny. It is match day. We have Liverpool, mate. It's going to be a pretty grim day. Some people think. I agree. I think it is going to be a grim evening. We will be live on match day live. Manny will be there for the instant match reaction as well. So that's all still going on. But just like last week and just like every week, Manny, we like to start with the obvious ones. And I'm not sure how many obvious ones there are today. What's your obvious one? What is the first name on the team sheet that you want to see?
Daka.
Really?
First name. We know Vardy can't play multiple games in a row. It's too tight for him. Not at that age. So this is a time where we see whether Patterson is going to be that backup striker that we need in the second half of the season, or do we need to go shopping for one in January? Also, there's rumours of Edouard being given back. So if that is the case, to free up a loan space, then we need to see Daka in the business, hopefully doing the business. And obviously he had that good game for half an hour against Brighton. Was it Brighton? No, it wasn't Brighton, was it? It was West Ham, sorry.
West Ham.
Where he came on, scored that goal, yeah. And he's probably our quickest striker, right? And we are playing in a deep, deep block today. We are going to get forced back and back and back. So we kind of need the most pace we can get up front. So Daka is absolute no-brainer for me today.
Yeah, we have heard as well yesterday, on Christmas Eve, that Vardy is a doubt for the game and knock. I think, Manny, though, Daka would have started regardless to give Vards a little bit of a break for Man City, because we know he likes playing against Pep Guardiola's teams. He likes playing against Man City, so that is to be expected. And like you said, yeah, the next backup is probably Daka over Odsonne Edouard, who I think many of us are expecting this time next week to not be at the football club, to be honest with you.
And don't forget, Locks, trivia, Boxing Day trivia, which player scored the most goals against Pep Guardiola teams?
Ooh, I'm going to guess Mr. Vardy? Mr. Vardy?
Bingo! We have a winner.
There we go. Right. There's no one disagreeing with you in the chat, so that's always a positive. It doesn't happen too often. Next up, I'm going to take the initiative here, mate, and someone's already said it in the chat. For me, it's got to be Buba Samari who plays next. Have you got any disagreement with that, Manny? I'd be surprised if you do, because if it's not Buba, it's going to be Skip, and you don't like Skip.
No, I'm not the greatest fan of Skip, but I might consider starting Skip just to save Booba for the following match. I'm kind of treating this game as a bit of a write-off. I just don't see it, and there's any way we can even get a point. So why not save your legs for Man City, and maybe they'll be a bit more tired and we'll have a bit more energy. It doesn't always work like that. Maybe playing those games in quick time can help you in some ways. But
well, Manny, just to jump in, this is what we want to see, not what we think will happen.
Okay, what would I want to see? But then I kind of agree with that logic that you want to save your most important players for the game where you think you can actually pick up points. And, I don't want Booba to end up playing 70, 80 minutes us get drubbed 5-0, and then he's tied for Man City when we really, really need him. It's a tight one. What do you think, Logs?
I'm going to put Booba in. Look, mate, I get your point. I get it. You want to save Booba maybe for Man City, so then he's fresh. But we can look at that when we do the team later, what we think we will see, because maybe we do think he won't be playing. But I don't think we can rest everyone at once, Manny. You know what I mean? I don't think, because if you do that, we are going to lose 10-0. Like we will lose 10-0 if we're throwing in Daka, Ward, or whoever, Hamza Chowdhury, Jordan Ayew, Declan Dover. We're going to lose 10-0. So let's put Booba in for now. Who is the next obvious one? Let's see what the chat is saying quickly. Let's touch on this one then, Manny. Bilal or Facundo, but not both, Thomas says. What do you think on that?
Well, if we were approaching this game where we actually thought, we want to try and achieve something in terms of points, and so we want to put our best 11 out. So if this is our best 11 available, then you have to play both. Now, obviously, we've got the caveat that we're playing Man City next, and they're not in the best of form, although they've got a penalty at the moment. It's one of those tricky ones. Which one would you fancy? Choose your poison. I think it's one of those where Steffi we need to kind of play him into some form, and I would put Steffi in again and make him play the following game if he has a good game. So I get the rest of, maybe you want to rest Bilal out of the two. Facundo's potentially going back soon. He hasn't played 2 games in a row. There's an argument to suggest that, he actually might have a bit of stiffness in the legs at the moment, that he actually needs game time. So maybe you play Facundo for 60, 70 minutes. I'd definitely play Facundo and Mavididi on the left. That still leaves us a problem on the right, which I'm sure we'll get to.
You know what, mate? I was going to say I'm actually in total agreement. So I was going to say the exact same thing, because there is a debate around Mavididi, whether he'll start. Maybe he won't start against Man City. I mean, we'll talk about that later in the week and on the weekend. But I agree, it will be Mavididi and Facundo. And it's what I want to see as well. I mean, going with the same logic, I suppose, that you were with Samari, I suppose, that maybe I want to save Bilal. But is there any chance we could see Mavididi, Bilal, Facundo as the 3 behind Daka?
Haaland's just missed a penalty, by the way.
Oh, my God.
Against our relegation candidates, Everton. This plays a difference. Look, if Man City is struggling to beating Everton, maybe this does play an impact on who we want to see and who we should see, right? Because they are really struggling at the moment, and Liverpool are the absolute opposite. But let's go back to assuming the right-hand side. So our options are Casey, Bobby, Jordan. Is that right?
Yeah, but Casey wasn't in the squad for the last game.
He scored at Anfield last year?
Yeah.
And in a much similar situation where you're playing a sort of kind of half-second team, I'd be tempted to play Casey this game. Again, we need the running power. We know we're going to be playing deep. So if we're going to be playing deep, we need our best runners moving forward. So with Daka, Mavididi and McAteer, you have got some running power between the 3 of them. And then hopefully Facundo to gel them all together and provide that little bit of quality. So there is a kind of hope on the counter, if you know what I mean, because it's going to be a counter attack football for us. So in that case, what you just put up there is what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you, mate. Saving Bilal, and then that's, like I said, a debate for another day. What happens against Man City? Who goes next? Bouba Samari, because I've seen someone say Winks has to start. Can Winks play back-to-back games 2 days after each other, or 3 days in between each other? Or are you looking at Hamza? Or maybe talking of Hamza, does Hamza go right back and give Justin a rest? Is that what you'd go with, Hamza at right back?
Mm-hmm. I think we were speaking about that, and it's getting into fans' mind that when Enzo had a choice of a right back, should Ricardo not be fit, who did he choose? He chose Hamza. He didn't really play JJ at all. So Hamza played a brilliant 30 minutes, albeit in a dead game at the weekend. But JJ just needs, even if it's just one game, JJ can just be taken out of the limelight just to give him a break. I wouldn't even take him as part of the squad. I'd say, mate, do you know what? Go and enjoy a day with your family. Go and have a walk around the park when everyone's watching the football. Just get your head out of football for a few days at least. And let Hamza come in and play. So Hamza plays at right back. And the other side is, I find this a really tricky one, those two in midfield. I'm not really sure which way to go. I can see the case of, if you play Winks today, does that mean you can play him against Man City? That would be 2.5 games in a very short period of time. So that means you've got to kind of play Skip. Now, again, I've been critical of Skip. You've seen that. But we have paid £25 million for this player. So we do need some game time out of him. At the moment, Wilf is still injured. So I think I'd go with Skip.
Oliver Skip next to Bouba Samari. Skip maybe to completely make you eat your words, mate. Imagine he has a man of the match performance away at Anfield after your little rant the other day.
Well, I'm going to give you an early shout. What happens is every player that I give a bit of a rant or a slating to, that always comes back to bite me. Always. So what I'm expecting is Skip to play, and he'll probably do a nice assist or score a goal. And guaranteed Jack Grealish, who's not scored for 46, 47 games, he will start against us and he will score against us. Absolute fact.
Well, there we go. Have you got something bad to say about Patson Daka, Mavididi, Buonanotte, McAteer, Samari, Chowdhury, mate? To give them a bit of a pick.
I haven't got enough time about some of them, but there is also the backdrop of, a lot of these players get a bad time from fans and some of us at times. But on their day, they can do damage. If Patson's having a good day, he has got the speed and the finishing power to score. He scored against Chelsea before, a lovely finish. He scored obviously 4 away in Moscow. So on his day, in the right situation, the right game, he can look excellent. Like somebody reminded me this week, when you clip together a highlights package of somebody, you can make anybody look good, right? So there is some potential with Liverpool, who often play 3 at the back only. They play a kind of weird 3-3-4 at times. There will be some space on there because they will be assuming that we are not going to be any real threat to them. So there will be the odd time during the match, maybe only even once or twice, where we might break away and we might get a one-on-one with a defender, or we might get a one-on-one with a keeper. The key thing is you just got to take that chance. And that's the thing that we're not so confident about.
Well, this is the thing that with some football fans, they think that when you do a rant, let's say, like you did about Skip the other day, if Skip goes and has a man of the match performance against Liverpool, they come at you like thinking you're upset. But we're happy, right? If we're slagging off Patson Daka and he goes and scores a hat-trick, we're actually happy because we're Leicester fans at the end of the day. We want to see Daka score a hat-trick. We don't want to see him fail. We just think he will fail. Do you get me?
It's never, ever personal with any player. I mean, Oliver Skip actually is the kind of ideal pro off the pitch. So it's never anything personal, for example. You just want the best possible player that you think Leicester City could have in any given position, right? So if you think there's a characteristic limitation or a flaw with a player and we don't have somebody else, you keep thinking, well, the grass is greener somewhere else, so we could find a replacement that within our price range who could do a better job. That applies to every single player continuously. Like, we all love Jamie Vardy, but if Jamie Vardy doesn't score for 10 games in a row, we're going to be having discussions about it. It would only be authentic and proper to do so. So, Skip has had 10, 14 games in and out. He's had a bit of time, not a huge amount of time. So the scope remains that I could get egg on my face, but I want egg on my face. I want lots of eggs on my face, because that means that those players, whoever it is performing well, right?
Yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. The delusional Leicester fans, what team do you support there, mate? Please let us know. It's only personal with Danny Ward, somebody said, and Steve Cooper. Sometimes I think it got a little bit personal, but let's not talk about that. Okay, goalkeeper, Manny. For me, this is, we're going to assume Mads isn't 100% ready to go. And I think it's probably smart, because even if he is about ready, don't put him in against Liverpool, maybe. Or maybe you could actually try and keep the score line down. But let's assume he's not ready. Are you in agreement it has to be Jakub Stolarczyk?
Absolutely. We've spoken about this topic plenty. There's no case that I could make for anybody else but Jakub. If he's fit enough, he is ideal. Give him game time. He's a young keeper. He's shown good potential, good shot stopper, decent with his feet. and the the alternatives have limitations, and we don't really need to go over Danny Ward any more than we have done already. I think he's had enough in terms of that. Everson, we know he's a decent shot stopper. He's a big lad. Distribution's not great, but does distribution really matter? So for me, it'd be Jakob starting with Everson on the bench.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. The guy who said we're delusional is a Forest fan, but that's not a surprise. A Forest fan watching Leicester videos is not a surprise for me. Right. Everyone's agreeing. Jakob. Yep. Zayd says if Ward starts, then Rude is as stubborn as Rodgers was. Okay, well, let's now move on to the last three positions that are down there, Manny. And let's start with the left back, which I think is probably the easiest out of them all. Is it just going to be Victor, do you think? Or could it be Luke Thomas?
I could see him playing Luke Thomas again, but this is what we're choosing. So if it's what we're choosing, it's Victor. But I could make a decent case for Luke Thomas in this particular game. I remember him playing away at Old Trafford I think it was during the COVID time, where he scored a left foot volley at the far post. And playing away, Brendan used to sort of play him away in those bigger games where he was a semi-write-off. And he has shown at times pretty capable. We know we're not really going to be attacking too much, so he doesn't have to get caught out so much positionally, which can happen with him at times. And again, can VK play every single game in a row? He's only just turned 22, I believe, and it's a lot of wear and tear for a young lad, a lot of pressure. If he breaks down, then we have a problem on our hands. So I could make the case for both. I think it's a bit tighter than it usually would be, but obviously VK is the better player, so we would choose him.
Yeah, I'm going to go VK just because of who's starting on the other side. I don't think we can go away to Anfield with Hamza Chowdhury and Luke Thomas as our fullbacks and expect anything less than embarrassing. Do you know what I mean?
Can I throw something out there for you, Lolox?
Go on.
Boxing Day, we played Liverpool. Mo Salah misses a penalty. We won 1-0. I think Lookman scored, right?
Yeah.
Luke Thomas had Mo Salah in his pocket that day.
Yeah.
And VK was running around like a headless chicken against Saka early in the season in particular. So, I don't think one-on-one is necessarily what we want to see. VK versus Salah is not a matchup we really want. Now, by hook or by crook, it sticks in our minds that Luke Thomas had a good game against Salah once. That is another little thing to throw in there to consider. Have I changed your mind?
No, absolutely not. But whether it might make it in when we do the team we think we're going to see. Okay, people in the chat, get your comments in for this one. Who is your ideal centre-back partnership for this game? Now, I'm going to throw in there Vestergaard and Okoli, but what are you thinking?
I think I would agree with that, actually. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, no Connor Cody to play against his former team.
I think, to be honest, it's going to be ugly whoever you play. So it's not as if it's not a close call. But Vestergaard for his passing, I think we're not going to be playing any kind of high line or even a mid line. So there's not that much space in behind you. So then, because you're just kind of planted at the edge of your own box, pretty much, and you got to head it. But when you do get the ball, you do have to be able to turn defence into attack. And if we are to have any hope whatsoever of trying to score even one goal, then you do need somebody rather than just someone who's just going to drill it up top and they just run it back to us. So I think I'd probably go Vestergaard. Actually, I might. What about Farce in this particular game? I know he loves an own goal. I know he loves an own goal at Anfield, but again, this might be one of those where this game might suit him. But no, I think I'll go Vestergaard and Okoli, like you said.
Well, let's see what people are saying. Zayd says Yannick and Cody. Cabas agrees with Yannick and Okoli. Cody's shit, Cabas says. I think some people would agree with you. He's just he's terrible. He's just a passion merchant, Rice says. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, obviously, what's my name says you're getting battered, lads. Yeah, well, it's not really an insult. We know that, you know what I mean. You can't use something that what we believe is true as an insult. Cody was our best player, Thomas says, in the last game against Wolves. What do you make to that? I'm not sure on that.
Surprise from Thomas. He's normally bang on with his comments and stuff, and I'm guessing he's had a few too many over Christmas. Cody was for me it was Soumare, but Cody hasn't been awful in every game he's come back. I think that's the overriding point. When you've played against Alexander Isak, you're probably going to have an awful game away at Newcastle. In the first two games, he was good. So the argument was just, the last game, Cody wasn't too terrible when you break it down too. It was just a few individual mistakes, Vestergaard being one of them. VK had a role to play in that, obviously the keeper and JJ. So you could argue, bar those three individual errors, the defence and the defensive unit was fairly solid. I mean, I know Rude's been trying to make that case. I'd look at it slightly differently than that, but statistically speaking, and I guess, yes, that is the case. But Wolves switched off after 3-0, and we didn't really go for it either. So it's only really half the game that really counts, and we were 3-0 down, and that's what really matters.
Yeah, Thomas, just come back to you. 4 out of 4 duels, 1 and 2 interceptions.
Got a point. But this is, not in this game.
Zaid says, too big of a game for Caleb Okoli. Just quick thoughts on that.
Italian international Caleb Okoli. I like speed on the pitch. I think I've been making that case recently. I like the quickest players that we have, as long as they are technically capable. Then speed always, and I think Okoli has the potential to really grow into a very good Premier League quality centre back. And if it's just the other choice, it's just such a similar profile. The others, Cody, Vestergaard, Fars are fairly similar. Fars is probably a bit more aggressive on the ball and slightly more mobile, but they all lack mobility, and Okoli has mobility and he's good one-on-ones. So I always want Okoli, if not just to save the other centre-back should they get in trouble, which happens every single game.
Yep, fair enough, mate, fair enough. So who are we going with then? Who do you want to see?
Okoli.
There we
go.
Although
I would actually switch them around, believe it or not. I like Okoli on the left more than the right-hand side. I think he's going to be that cover for Mo Salah when he gets past VK. You need somebody coming into that left-back area to try and cover when Mo skins VK, which is going to happen about 15 times today. So who do you want chasing back? Do you want Vestergaard running into that, or do you want Mo Salah running into Vestergaard? I would have him running in towards Okoli at least next. There's a chance of making a tackle there.
Okay, so this is the team that me, Manny, and the chat have come up with for Liverpool. A little bit of fiddling around to have certain players rested ahead of the Man City game. That's why Bilal's not here to answer his question. Rag says, I go away for one day and this happened. If you're referring to the team, mate, I mean, we could be worse. We could have Wout Faze at right back, mate. I know that's one of your shouts recently.
Well, Loxy, just quickly, there is something I've been thinking about the last couple of days when I've been trying to work out what would I do in this situation. And I've come up with the old Christmas tree. I don't know if you're probably too young to remember the old Christmas tree.
I remember, I know it.
We could do the old Christmas tree and play Facundo and Bilal as the 2 and Daka as the 1, have no width whatsoever, compact it like crazy, and have 5 at the back, and then 5-3-2 in a Christmas tree shape, and just have a 3-man screen in front of a 5-man centre back, and basically give them no space, not just on the out wide, but in the 8 channels. They're going to get no space at all for them to make their runners to get in, and just try your best to restrict them to long shots. And then, if you can try and get a 2-on-3 with or even a 3-on-3 with the little triangle you've got up front. It's left field, it's different, but I've been trying to think out of the box as to what you can do. To be honest, no matter what we do, this game's going to get pretty ugly, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, Zaid said, let's hope the Salah curse continues. His Christmas curse. Yeah, it is a thing. It drives me mad when I see all of that on Twitter, all the hype over. I'm like, come on, have you not got better things to worry about than Salah posting a photo of a Christmas tree, for God's sake? Scott, we thought about this, Scott. We did think about it, but I think me and Manny both decided that, we want to try and not make it embarrassing, right? Not even just for the goal difference come the end of the season, but still confidence. If we went and lost 7-6, 7-0 to Liverpool on Boxing Day, it won't do the club any favours. It won't do the squad any favours. So a bit of mismatch between A team, B team, and all that stuff will probably give us the best chance at resting players whilst also not getting completely embarrassed. And Neil will be back. he'll be back. Cabas says he'll be back to give his game analysis afterwards, letting 8. No, we'll have Match Day Live, of course, starting from 7:45 tonight. So Anil will be there, Manny will be there, and maybe Neil, Luke will be there. So just the same as always, same as every match day. Right, Manny, what do we think we're going to see? What do we think we're going to see? What stands out straight away?
Ward.
Really? Yeah, you think... I don't think Ward is going to play.
I think he's going to play Ward.
Okay, well, let's do it. Let's put it in.
Only because it's a generic thing, not anything specific to Rude, but somebody mentioned it previously already. Managers can be a bit stubborn with these kind of things and say, look, you know what? I'm the boss around here. What I say goes. The fans are out of order for having a go at Danny Ward. I don't understand it. He's not that bad. Those individual goals, you could argue the third one, but perhaps the first two weren't totally his fault. Same versus Newcastle. He's an experienced keeper. He used to play for Liverpool. Go on.
Jeff Peters has just said that Stolarczyk is playing tonight. He is making his Premier League debut tonight.
Relief. Well, I'm glad he did that, just as I was making a case for Rude picking Ward. Thank you very much. You could have brought that in 30 seconds earlier, Lox, and made me not look silly.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate. Brilliant news. I mean, that's a great start. Where else might he change? I've got a feeling he might well rest Soumare.
Really? Who for? Winks?
Do you know what? I've got a feeling, weirdly, that Rude has been using one or two of these away games in particular with some controversial selections and odd ideas as a kind of, this game we're going to lose. So we may as well lose, and I can highlight to everybody exactly what we need. So he's being a bit stubborn, saying, do you know what? Look, this is what I've got to work with if my first team players are out. And this is what it's going to look like later in the season if we don't spend in January. So I'm going to give these squad players game time to try and prove to me what they can do, knowing kind of, it's probably not going to be quite enough. So top, I need the checkbook. I need the card. I need the Black American Express card. Let's get some deals done over the line.
So who starts next to Skip?
Have we got any left field options? Cartwright. Golding.
No, it won't happen.
What about Jordan Ayew playing out of position?
No, I think you're wrong on this one, Manny. I think it's going to be Soumare Skip. Or okay. If not, I've got one other shout. I'm just going to do it and see what you think.
Skip and Winks.
Yep.
Well, that was a first choice for a lot of fans earlier in the season. And you might say Premier League experience. They've played a lot of Premier League games between them. So they're not going to be overawed by playing at Anfield. They've played there before. There is a chance for redemption for Skip. And Winks played all right second half when he came on. That may well be the case, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. This is what I'm edging towards. Because I know Winks is only not long back from injury. But we did see him last season play a lot of games back-to-back around this time of year, within close proximity to each other. He clearly can do it, right? So I'm going to guess that is the case. And Soumare will be rested. We're just all praying for a bit of Willie. We just need some Willie. We need Willie back, don't we, mate?
Free Willie. We've spoken about that already this season. I think Zaid in the comments is right. In a real world, we would need Booba and Wilf. If this was a different game and we didn't have another game 3 days coming up, if there was a week to the next game and everybody was fit, this lineup would look very different. You'd definitely have Ndidi and Booba as your two. But like I said, I think us and Rude, unfortunately, I would say to some extent, but naturally, are treating this game as a bit of a write-off. Just the caveat to say for the write-off, though, is Forest did go there and win. That's for the Forest fan who's trolling us. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. But also Fulham did go there and get a point. It's not clear that you cannot get anything at Anfield being the smaller team. Maybe they'll have an idea on the next match. I'm not sure who Liverpool have got after us. They might.
Here's a nice comment for you.
Go on.
There, everyone hates on Ndidi, but we know we are way better with him than without him.
No, not everybody hates on Ndidi, mate. Not everybody. We've got some There's a lot of Wilf love on this channel, I can tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Liverpool do. Maybe they'll just, they themselves will play a second team today, and they might even rest Salah. Salah never gets a rest. Maybe they'll say, okay, we're going to rest you today, and assume that at home against us with a second team, and football just doesn't always work like that. So it's never without hope. But I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I think it's the just from a bookie's point of view, I think it's the shortest price I've seen all season of anyone at home against another Premier League team. So that means it's the most likely home win of anyone this season so far.
Wow. That says a lot, doesn't it? I'm guessing you also think Luke Thomas is going to start over Christensen, right?
I would personally. I think he should do that, and he will do that because Victor is only 22. He just too many games for a young lad, and we've got a massive game afterwards. We're all looking at Liverpool because it's today, but very very soon we've got a City game where it's 75 minutes gone currently in the Man City Everton game. They're 1-1 with Everton. They've got like one win in 13. This is a game we could actually at home win, and we've got a pretty decent record against Pep considering it's Pep. So I totally agree with having as much of a second team as you can handle today, and really focusing on the Man City game and saying, okay, you know what, you lads, you've been training hard all season. Now's your chance. Go at Anfield. I'm not expecting anything from you at all. If we get beat 3-4-5, don't worry about it. It's Liverpool away. They're flying at the moment. Their second team is outstanding. So if players like Gakpo or Jota come in, it's still not much of a drop-off from Luis Diaz, for example. It's still brilliant players. Nunez, is a good player, and he's probably underscoring with goals, and he'll probably be looking at today where I can up my goals record. So we're doing the aftermatch later today, Logs. It's unlikely to be pretty, is it? And we have to accept that going into it. But I always like to have a wider picture. And, we've got January coming. We've got a Man City game, which is not a dead rubber like it normally would be. So let's just show a bit of patience and acceptance that tonight's going to be ugly. We know it will be. Take it on the chin and we move on.
Yeah, and we think this will be the team. Yeah, the rest of it, we think that's going to be it. We think it'll most likely be Mavididi, Buonanotte, Makatir, Daka to give Bilal a rest.
He may well give Soumare sort of 45 minutes or 60 minutes and then bring him off early and bring maybe Harry Winks on. But I think it kind of makes sense that Skip's for his legs and for his work rate and the rest of it, it will come in. But I think Booba's the only one there. Obviously, the big question mark is, for whatever reason, he's not giving any game time to Facundo, really. And was it 10, 15 minutes the last match? So maybe he may well just go, well, these guys are young lads. They signed with Leicester City because they want to come to places like Anfield and play football. And if you're a young lad, you're not worried about 3 days' time. You're like, oh, way at Anfield, I want to play. So I'm sure Bilal is desperate to play. So there might be Bilal instead of Facundo again, and we might see, like we just got there, Winks over Soumare too.
Could we not see this, though, and then maybe Bilal in the middle, Facundo off the right? I mean, Ragsy says here, the Xmas schedule hasn't even been busy for us. No cup games, barely any midweek games bar this week. Have to be playing our strongest team both games. Can't be rotating shit into the side tonight. I mean, I disagree because I think if Rude is looking at Man City as I was going to say winnable game or at least a drawable game, he does want to give some players a rest.
I don't agree with that from Ragsy. I'm sorry. You just, if it was two mid-table teams that we were playing and you had a competitive, then yes, you could have a player a Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday kind of week in the Premier League. Okay, fine, that happens. But this is Liverpool away. This is the hardest game on paper of the season. It would be naive of us to think that we can bring out maximum energy levels in both games with our best starting 11, particularly when Vardy has a few doubts over him. It's just not realistic. There is an element of recovery and rest and mental recovery as well as physical too. And whether people like it or not, Christmas is a distraction for all of us, players included. I know they come into training on Christmas Day, but you still got to have that family stuff. The kids are waking up. You've got presents to open. You don't get a lot of a breather or a rest. So Man City is still drawing, by the way. There's a lot of pressure on Man City. That is a game, believe it or not, we can definitely win. I think their form's worse than Southampton's at the moment. So, just let this one go against Liverpool would be my way. And go for it against Man City with everyone that you've got.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, mate. I think I agree with you. So yeah, that is the team then we think we're going to see. If you want to see the team we actually want to see, go back 20 minutes and you'll see that. But this is the team that me and Manny have decided will likely play. We were going to go with Ward, but we got some last minute news from Jeff Peters that Stolarczyk is going to be playing. Smart move from Ruud van Nistelrooy, not just for the team's sake, but for his sake, because I'll tell you now, if Ward played and we got a thump in, a lot of people would be getting on Ruud van Nistelrooy's back. And that starts with Luke.
Yeah, mate, you're right thinking about that. Every time you get a new manager, they get automatic amount of goodwill. You know, being a new manager, you get until they start doing things that everybody starts agreeing with, and that goodwill starts eroding quickly. And if Ruud was stubborn and kept picking Danny Ward week after week after week, unless Danny Ward is absolutely on fire and Mads Hermansen 2.0 in those games, then Ruud's goodwill evaporates very, very quickly and everybody starts questioning, what the hell are you doing? So I'm glad he made that change today. It shows that he's not stubborn. He is willing to adapt and you know, maybe not listen to the crowd so much, because I don't necessarily think that's the way to go at times, and most of the time, in fact. But he's willing to not be stubborn about these things and make a change when it's required.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So, as we've said many times already, Matchday Live will be back today. Oh, bloody hell, let me get rid of that. Me and Anil and Manny and Luke and Neil, maybe Doc, I can't remember if he's with us or not, but we will be live from 7:45 tonight, 15 minutes ahead, looking ahead to the game. Obviously, the watch along, halftime chat, and then the instant match reaction after the game. It may be a long evening. It may be a very fine Boxing Day. You just never know in football, do you, Manny?
Or we could do with a late Man City winner, to be honest, because I don't like Everton picking up points against these teams, and we're watching like voyeurs, as Wenger used to call them, hoping for our rivals to struggle today. And any good point from Ipswich or Southampton, even, especially Wolves, and tonight is just going to put extra pressure on us, isn't it? So fingers crossed for some good results.
Yeah. Final comment here from Ragsy. Goal difference will take a battering if we rotate, experiment new ideas you think could work fine. If the game's over by 70 minutes, then you take off your best players off for Sunday. I mean, I'd say that the goal difference has already taken a battering. I mean, we conceded 4 to Newcastle. We conceded 3 to Wolves. How many are we going to concede to Liverpool? I don't think there's anything wrong with writing today's game off against the... Are they top of the league? They're top of the league, right? Liverpool top of the league. They're the best team in the country, maybe in Europe at the moment. We are possibly the worst team in England at the moment. Not in Europe, but the worst team in England at the moment. Some would say. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Look, we'll not long now, only a few hours. We'll get the team news. We'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it before the match starts tonight on Blue Tinted Glasses. Again, thank you so much. Hope you all had a great Christmas, and hope you have a good New Year. But obviously, we'll see you before then. And yeah, we'll see you very soon for Matchday Live. Bye-bye. Cheers.